Hi, thanks for checking out my video. I've had a lot of questions about my flowers, about how I create some of my petals, and so I thought I'd put together this process video for you guys. I've gotten a lot of questions, especially about how I create the small tiny petals that I've had on some of my pictures recently. So if that's what you're here and you're interested in is just the tiny petals, you can skip forward to about 4 minutes in and you'll see some of those tiny petals. But I decided to show kind of my full process start to finish. And so starting from the beginning here, you can see I've already kind of gotten started. I started here with the center of some Laguna and made sure to kind of create a circle and then dried it with my hair dryer at the beginning. I diluted a little bit of boysenberry ink with some 99% isopropyl alcohol. And as you can see, I'm dropping it away from the center so that I can create some of these two tones to the petals. So I put the boysenberry a little further away from the color and then allow some more isopropyl to overlap both the color and the beginning of the boysenberry color for the petals. As I'm blowing out my petals, you can see that I wait for the petals to be completely dry at the end. That's what I'm doing. When you see it kind of shaking back and forth there, I'm trying to get the rest of the ends dry before I move on to my next petal. So as far as process, you can see I kind of blow straight down towards the beginning to get the petal moving wide and out towards the edge of the page. And then I kind of just start shaping the sides of my petals to keep them going in the direction I want. And then just kind of short bursts of air to keep it moving and drying until it's completely dry at the end. For these larger petals, I really don't have any intention as far as how much ink and how much of the isopropyl I'm putting down. You can see I kind of just create a pool. It's something that I do just kind of by feel now. So you kind of just have to work through, you know, based on the size of the paper you're working with and how wide you want your petals to be. You kind of get a feel for it after you practice a few. I wanted to create another layer of petals, and I like to keep building up my center and keep that darker color towards the center for some contrast. And so that's why you see me adding some more of the Laguna to there. And then for this next layer of petals, I had decided, because the ultimate goal was to create some small petals at the end. And so I wanted to create a little bit darker color there in the center. And you'll see in the future why I chose to do that. As I'm blowing out the smaller petals, it gives me a little bit more interest in color in the petals when I do that later. So here I'm just dropping the boysenberry color, just overlapping it directly with the center, and then blowing those petals out towards the end, kind of covering up the white space that I left behind with the first layer of petals. I really do like some of that two-tone, the petals that are showing through. I kind of noticed too when I was doing this that I wanted to leave a little bit of that. So I did leave the one petal showing some of that two-tone just so that I could have a little glimpse, maybe a little lighter part of the flower. Looks like maybe the sun is shining a little bit brighter on that section. All right, so this is for the small center petals that I've done. I intentionally placed 2 drops of isopropyl alcohol, and this is where my technique is pretty specific and something that I've practiced over and over again to get the right touch and feel on my airbrush. My airbrush is set probably at about 50 psi. I don't change it for the smaller petals, but I do practice just kind of feathering lightly my finger on the trigger until I can sometimes get it in like a little halfway point so that I'm not quite blowing the full pressure of air. But part of what I do at the beginning, you can kind of see, is that I'll do a couple of small puffs and wait just kind of half a second to let the isopropyl start to widen and spread to create that petal. And then I continue to do smaller puffs of air. And then once I find kind of that happy medium point where I'm not getting too strong of air, then I'll allow some continuous pressure until it comes out to the point and dries completely. Something that can be a little difficult to see here is that I'm never actually pointing the airbrush directly at the isopropyl. Just this angle doesn't quite show it well, but the airbrush is actually more pointed directly at the center of the flower, which is just behind the pool of isopropyl that I'm blowing at. So the air pressure is hitting the page and kind of blowing at the isopropyl from behind it. And so it starts to move it forward and give me a little bit more control as I allow that petal to start forming. So again, just the 2 drops, allowing it to spread just a little bit, and then blowing from behind it, feathering the air just a little bit, and then once it finds that happy medium, I just let it go until it dries, and that's that. I hope that you're able to practice this and get some success. I would love to see some of the pictures and things you are able to create. Here's kind of a close-up of the end results of that, and then I put a little happy center on it, spritz the outside with some isopropyl alcohol, and there you are. Thanks for watching.